Hi, I'm Dan, and welcome to this week's Elements Developer Diary. Now, this is a bit of a special week this week because we are finally shipping out Elements to a few beta testers, and it's only a very small group of private testers just so that we can check things over and get some initial feedback before we widen the group. So this is pretty exciting. You'll have to also excuse my voice because I'm a little bit bunged up because I'm just getting over COVID. So very special week this week, but I'm feeling okay, and we're kind of powering on doing this because we really want to ship this out, and we, want to get it into your hands. So this video, I'm going to go over the beta and kind of the process of buying it, etc. And this will be the process for everyone. So if you're in the beta group, this is the video for you. If you want to test the beta in the coming weeks, also watch this video because this will be relevant. So I'm going to open Safari. And this is the page we've put up. It's a secret page. You won't guess the URL, so don't bother trying. But it's live, and this is what we're sending out to the testers. And it's important people read through this before they go ahead and purchase Elements. Now, it does cost to buy Elements. We're not doing a free beta or anything like that because we want to keep it to a limited number of users. And we only want people that are serious about supporting us as a company and supporting Elements. So when we finally ship Elements, there will be a free version that you can download and try, and it'll, be the 1.0 product, and you can kick the tires on that. But if you want to get in ahead of that and you want to support us and you want to try out Elements, then you can join the beta program and buy the beta. So that is why we're charging for this, because we don't want everyone downloading it and using it and being inundated with feedback and not being able to manage it all. We want those people to buy a license, those people that are invested and want to support us, and we can work with them closely on fixing issues, adding features, stuff like that. So if you don't want to buy a beta and that's not for you, that is absolutely fine. We completely understand that. Just wait for the public version later in the year. So, but for those that do want to support us and want to use Elements, you need to read through all this, which just gives you a little update, and then you can scroll down to the pricing. Now, we've already been working on the pricing with the small beta group we have to kind of work on feedback on getting something that seems reasonable, has a good feature set, and will hopefully work for everyone. So this is the pricing for Elements currently. I can't 100% hand on heart say it won't change, because again, it's all of the stuff we do is based on feedback, and we're not afraid of changing things when we need to, because I think that's the best way to be. We've never been stubborn and stuck in the mud about things and said, oh, we're never changing. But this is our pricing plan right now, and we've been working on this a while, so I think it's pretty solid. And we have three versions. We got the base version, which is super, super cheap. I mean, this is £59 or $59, and this gives you everything in Elements. It gives you all the components. It gives you the whole app. You can publish. You can do everything. It's kind of like it's Rapid Weaver with stacks and a framework. It's all of that, which is, as you know, that's can be hundreds of pounds, probably closer to the top end license there, but you get that all in the base version of Elements. So it's the whole app. All you don't get is you're limited to the custom components, which are the HTML elements. So you're limited to 3 of those and 2 global components, which are the shared ones across the site. You also get Elements branding on the page and theme customization. So this is a really great entry level version, and you could buy this and then you can switch. You'll be able to do it in app. You'll be able to switch up to the next version, if your site grows and you want to add more components and things like that. So there'll be an easy switch in the app, so you can upgrade or downgrade whatever at any time, and our payment provider will just charge you the difference. They work it out and do that. So that's good. So that's the base, super accessible. And along with the free demo version we'll obviously have, we're hoping that this lower price will open it up to more users, because we think for this price there's really not anything else out there that is this powerful on the Mac. So the Plus version is the version we would say this is the one for everyone. This is the one most people should go for. It has everything. There's no limits. The only limitation it has, and this is a licensing limitation we ask you to respect, so it's not enforceable, we ask you to respect, is reselling websites. So this version is perfect if you're building a site for yourself, or if you're building a site for your business that you own, things like that. That's all fine, go for the Plus version. But if you're a freelancer, small agency, company, something like that, and you are building sites for clients and charging them money, then you need to use the Pro version. So this Pro version really is, at the moment, only for people doing client work. So if you're charging people for websites, then we don't think this is much to ask to buy this version. With this one, you also get priority support, because if you're in a business situation where you're dealing with clients, you need those bug fixes and you need feedback from us if there's issues, because you've got clients waiting on you. So if you're doing client work, the Pro version is the one to go for, because that allows you to resell websites and get that priority support, which could be crucial for your business. So all versions are subscription, but they are the same as Classic in the fact that you get to, even if you cancel your subscription, you get to keep Elements. So you can continue to use the app even if you cancel your subscription. You'll just be stuck on the latest version, when your subscription ended. So it's really, really fair. You can also install it on 2 Macs. So, if you've got a laptop, desktop, it works great. And we've found this covers most people, don't usually have more than 2 Macs. So we think this is really fair. We will also be giving discounts to each beta group, and so these won't actually be the prices you'll pay anyway. You'll be able to get it for cheaper, and they will be lifetime discounts on these. And this is primarily for the people that use Classic. These are existing users and users that want to test the beta. So if you join during the beta, you will get a greater lifetime discount on these. So super fair pricing for what we think is an amazing product. And hopefully, if you've been watching all these Dev Diary videos, you know how powerful Elements is. And while we still have a lot to do, it's really shaping up to be an excellent app. So that's that. There will also be a link on here to download an example document to kind of get you up and running quickly to play around with. And that's what I'm going to demo now. All right, so let's launch the first beta of Elements. So there it is, launches super quick. Nice new login screen, and we've got no projects here. So I've got my example page, which you'll be able to download and play around with. So let's open this up. And boom, it's open. You notice how quick this all is. Everything's loaded. It's instant. So this is my document here. And let me open the Node browser so we can see all of our sections I've built. I probably don't need to explain too much of the UI here, because you should have been watching the previous Dev Diary video, so I will assume you've kind of done that. We've only got one page in this document, but if you want to create new ones, you can press plus or Command N, and that just brings in a new page there, but we don't need that, so I will delete it. We've got our resources here. You can drag images, folders into here. We've got our components here, and we've got our core components. I've got some custom components. Let me delete that font one because we don't need that. and you won't have that in the example. You can ignore these RealMac ones because these are the private RealMac ones we built the site with. And that beta page I showed you over here, this is built in Elements as well, of course. And then we've got some sections here. Now the sections area is very limited. We don't have many in there, and we're partway through working out how we're going to display these and changing the icons. But these will all be in the app as well. So the only bit you won't get is these. So, and then the last tab on here is the node browser. So this is our document, and I've got a welcome section here. And when I click on one of these, it will expand the node browser. Or if I, well, that's because I'm at the top level. But if I click on this button, it expands it to show it to me in the node browser. So all really nice. These icons are finalized. We've done a lot of work on those over the past couple of weeks. And you can see welcome section. Then I've got a container, which will contain the site. And if you remember from previous videos, containers are set up in the theme studio, so they are they're the responsive breakpoints essentially. So that's how the width is set up here, because as I go down here, the container shrinks. So that's that. Then I've got my flex, which is great for laying out content, and you can see I've got a few flex items, and in each flex item I've got some objects. So I've got a heading in the first one, a paragraph in the next one, and a button. And the flex is an amazing way to work because it kind of gives you control over all the layout, because each flex item I can set the gap between. So you can see here, if I want to evenly space things, you know, and I could have a lot of content, it's very easy to do by setting the gap, you know, and you can, there's a lot of other things you can do here with the flex in the layout. And these components are really, really powerful, especially the grid and the flex. There are a lot of options there that you get access to as if you were writing CSS or using Tailwind. You get all that power in here. So they can be overwhelming. You know, there's a lot of things you can do, but it does mean that pretty much anything is possible. And we haven't documented all of this stuff yet, but we will do. And we'll have videos on all this stuff. So at the moment, play around with it, and if you get stuck, want to ask questions, post them in the beta forum. That's what it's there for. And, you know, we can help you through it, and we can record more videos and kind of do it that way. But because you're using the beta, you kind of have to feel around on how this stuff works. So, but that's the flex, you know. And if you want more of these flex items, there will eventually be a plus button. They're hidden at the moment, but for now you can just duplicate them in here, and then I'll just delete that button, remove button, you know. So these flex items I could also copy and paste, and you can see I'm just adding more of these, but we don't need those. So that's how you would create more flex items if you want them, and is why I'm kind of demoing this document, because you'll get this, and this, me talking through it, will kind of show you how I set it up. So the next section, a bit more jazzy, my Jenny from the Grid section. So again, I've got a container. Well, this is a section at the top here. So this, you can rename these things by clicking in them. And this is actually a section. So this would be like here, I drop in a selection, and then you can, a section, and then you can customize it. So this one, let's change this back. Let's change that back. So this one, you can see I've got gradients set up in the background, and I've got some padding, and it's pretty good. And then I've got a container, and that is to bring everything in, because otherwise, if I just put a grid in a section, it's going to run to the edge, which is fine, and you might want that, but that's not what I wanted in this layout, because you know, that's doesn't look so great. So let's put the grid back up there and drop the grid into it. And then in my grid, I've got a 2-column grid here. And you can see the columns are set here, and I can just adjust those if I wanted to tweak the layout. And it's a 12-column grid. If I click on the main grid item, you can see I can adjust a lot of settings about that, including how many columns it uses. And if I click on here, I can also show the grid. So this little overlay, it gives me a visual guide on how things are laid out. And this can be great when things get more complicated, and I'll show that in a minute. So I've got these 2 grid items, and then in those grid items, on this left-hand one here, let's turn that down, I've got a section. And sections are always great for using if you want background decoration, like you need a background to it, because this is a section as well. This one here is a section, but I'm also using it in this smaller thing here because it gives me really great control over padding and layout and stuff like that. It's, you know, put a grid in, a gradient in it as well, and images. It's really good. So that's why I'm using a section there. And then in the section, I've got a flex. And again, just like at the top here, I'm using a flex to lay out this content in here. So I've got my 2 flex items, you know, and I wouldn't have to do this. I could have just put these 2 here. But if I did that, to change the margin and things on here, I would have to start adding padding to here. And then, you know, I've got more objects, and then I'd have to do the same here, and it's not great. So the way I like to work, I always like to lay these things out in flexes. Very good. And I could just obviously duplicate that, do another one. Actually, I don't want some text there. I want a button, you know, and we could, if I hold down Option, I can duplicate this and pop a button in there. Boom. Really, really nice stuff, but I don't want a button, and I don't want that. Let's remove that. So that's how that works. And then on this side, again, I've just, let's turn this up. I've got another, the grid item. I've got another grid item with a section, same as before, flex. But in the top one, I'm just using an image, and I'm setting a custom size on it. You know, I could set it to 50, but I'm using 125. I could set it to the device. And this, we resize this automatically for you for the different breakpoints. But I'm just using a custom because I want it 125 pixels. Yeah, and then just some text there. So, you know, you can style all this stuff. So that's how this bit's laid out. This is an empty grid. Obviously the basis for this, but it's kind of fun to play around with because you can just move things on the fly and see if things shift. So this is a lot of fun, and you can, you know, I could select multiple items there and change them all at the same time. It's absolutely such good stuff, this. It works so nicely compared to anything else out there. I think it really is amazing to use this. And obviously we can put on the grid thing there, and there's lots and lots of powerful features in here really to reverse the order, set things. I haven't used all the options in here because it's there's just so much, and you know, when you're building something, you just don't have the time to I'm looking forward to having a bit more time to build some more websites to publish, you know. And, well, we're going to do more of these documents for you to use and see how we set things up. But even within these grid items, you can override orders, change row height. But anyway, this is an empty grid for you to play around with. And, you know, you could, just like I did, you could drop a section in here and give it a background color. You know, drop in some text, boom. That looks disgusting, but you know, that's how it works. Those are the colors I have selected, but you could make it look pretty. Yeah, and it's as easy as that. You know, let's just delete those. So that's that bit. Getting really interesting now, because now we're going to talk a little bit about custom components, which are very fun. So custom components, you make them over here. You just press the plus button. We've got some pre-made ones. These are kind of developer examples. They're not really finished. You can add them, check out the syntax and things like that. They probably need more work, a lot of them, to make them more useful, but it's a good little starting point to play around with some stuff. But by default, just add the HTML one, and it adds it to the list, and then you can drag it in. And to edit a custom component, you will be able to double click on it, but we haven't set that up yet. But it should show this little area down here, so you can just drop that in, and then you can edit this live, which is very nice. And that's if you wanted to paste in a little bit of HTML. That's the simplest way to use it. Let me just delete that HTML one there, and let me show you this. I'm using a simple card here. This is my simple card element, so I can drop it there as well, and you can see I can use this as many times as I want. Let's delete those. But in this little example I've got set up here, so I've got my template file, and this is what I've it's very basic. It's just this little card. I've got a div class, and it's just some shadows and a bit of rounding on it. And you'll notice these little syntax here with these curly brackets. And that is because it's using custom properties. And this custom property here is for the color. And that means I can change it here. And I'll show you how to add these in a second. And this other one is a rotate value I've got in here. And you can see I can just rotate that, which is pretty cool. Considering this is just a little custom component I put together, and you could build these yourself. So yeah, I've got some hard-coded text in here, which you can obviously go in and edit. But what I'm also using, I'm using some other element API syntax, which is this @text setting. And this @text allows me to put editable text in a component. So instead of having to come into this component and edit the text here, what I can do, I can just double click in here and edit it live in the editor, which is very cool, which is different to this, because this text I obviously have to edit in here because it's just written in as HTML. But this one here is using this @text, and there's some default text there that gets put in, and that means every time I drop, where's my simple card? If I drop this in, you can see it's put that default text in there. But if I edit that, that's actually now custom, so it'll be different to this one because it's like a little editable area. Let's delete that. Oops. Remove simple card. And then similar to the @text, we've also got an @drop zone, which gives me a drop zone in my custom component, which means I can then drop anything into here, which is absolutely wild. So rather than me hand coding a button, I could drop a button in there, and now we've got a button. I could drop multiple things in there, I could drop a flex in there, I go wild, I could build a whole web page in there. It's just a drop zone, really, really powerful stuff. So this rotation and background color, if you've not watched the other videos, we do have some videos on this, but you might be wondering, well, how do I get these controls? How do you make these controls hook up to here? And you do that in the properties file for the component, because these are all the little relevant files for this component. So the properties files is a JSON file, and there's a specific way you have to write these out. And we do have documentation for this. It isn't finished. Let me just backtrack a little bit. On the projects window, I didn't show you, we got these buttons here, and it's very handy because this will open up the manual. And then we've got the elements language, which the elements language is to build full-blown components, which allow you to do a bit more than the custom components. But we're not ready to open that up just yet. You can start building custom components and then pretty easily convert them into fully blown element packs. But more on that later. That's not the purpose of this video. But what I wanted to say is if you come in here, we've got a little select section on custom components. This is the kind of user-facing, easy part where you can copy these @text things and @drop zone. Very useful. And there's a couple of the older Dev Diary videos on it as well, which I cover some other stuff. So if you're interested in this, watch those videos. But there is this is very unfinished, a lot of this stuff. But there is, if you're wondering, how do I add a slider, in the properties file? Well, you'd come over to here in UI controls and you look for slider, and we should have a code example there or a few code examples, and you can just copy this. Let's copy that. Copy this text, and I come back over to here, and you need to look like here. This is the last control, and so I just need to put a comma after that and then paste in that little text, and now I've got this control. Boom. And it happens live. It's absolutely wild. And the property is called rating. So if I wanted to use this over here, just like I've got these, I can do so. Let me just copy this and say I rate this component. We're going to do the curly braces. It's giving me an error because obviously the syntax is incorrect because I haven't finished this. And let's put rating in there. Boom. I rate this component 1 stars, but obviously not. Let's move it up to 5 stars. And you can see this is now updating in there, which is, we've had this stuff for months, but I still find this absolutely mind-blowing and a joy to work with. I really can't wait to see what you guys do with this, because these custom properties like this are so accessible, and it's really easy to build something simple and then just add, something like this editable text is easy enough for anyone to add. And then it's not too far along to get custom values working, with these properties. And we can help out on the forum with this. If you need, your syntax isn't working, we can take a look or give you the code to put in here if you're struggling to get started. So those are the properties here, and it all just updates live. On this slider, I default it to 3 when you drop in a new one. It starts at 0, but I could go up to 10, and then this updates, and now I can go to 10 stars. Let's put it back to 5. So that is a simple custom component there. I've got more to show you on custom components in a second, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, and you can just build these little reusable things. And I think once you get into it, you're going to find these really, really useful. All right, next section. I've got a table here. We don't have a table component. A table component would be really useful, but that can come later. We can build that. We don't have it at the moment, but it's not too hard to put this together. I asked ChatGPT for this code. I asked it for a table in Tailwind, and it gave me the code. It gave me a sample one, and then I just updated it for to work with our properties. Now, to work with our template. Now, this is slightly different. I don't have any controls in here. I don't have any controls down here because I didn't need it for here. I could do, but I didn't need it. But this section is to show off the local data. So what I did do, I created a local collection, and you can do this on any component. Like I can create a collection here, which is for data, but I obviously didn't want to use data on this one, so I didn't. But this is a table and I needed data. So what I've done, I've created a features collection, and you can create multiple collections and reference them. But I just needed one because this is a simple table. And so for all my records, I've got the records here. And I just click this button to add new records. You can see there it's added item. And I've got these controls. Now these controls look very similar to the controls we had here. And that's because they're using the same language. And to create these controls for your data, you just click on the collections feature and you use the exact same JSON syntax as you use for building these. So in here, I wanted a text box and I wanted the star rating. So if I go back to here, you can see our little rating widget. It goes to there. Is exactly the same as we pasted in up here. But now I get it on each new record I add. So, I've got another item here. And if I just type in here, it updates. So 2024, and I can rate the stars there. And this is pulling the name from here. And that should update. It should update in the build you have, but there's a bit of a bug. But now, so if you add a item and it doesn't update in the page, it just means you just need to give it a little nudge. But that should be fixed soon. Really easy. And so if I wanted to add another control to this, let's go to the documentation. And I could add there's a switch there, or it's another text area. We need there's a link. I could add an image for each item, so I could put a picture in here. Let's do that. So I need to look for the end of my stars, and we need the comma, and then I paste that in here. And then on each record, I can now add in an image, which is very cool. And I would reference that as image, but I might want to, I could call it Mac image. And that is how I would use the curly braces and reference it in my template here. So that's a little look at data, and the possibilities for these are really endless. We use this data feature on the beta page for the pricing plans. It makes sense in a lot of cases, and it's a lot of fun to work with. And I showed this off a while ago with some albums that I was like a favorite albums thing. So really flexible and really fun to play with. It's once you understand it, it's very, very powerful. So we got to the end of the document. There's loads more features I want to show off in this, but we're running out of time and we want to ship the beta, so I had to stop somewhere. I think it's worth here reminding about responsive controls and how you set things up responsively, because that's what these dots are for. So right now, this thank you text, let's do this so I can show you how it works. Right now, this thank you text is, this heading is on 4XL, and it's on 4XL on all the responsive breakpoints. And really, as I go up, I want that text, that font to get bigger. So what I can do on here, because we're mobile first, I set it how I want it on mobile, which is like this, and then I go to the next breakpoint where I want to adjust it. So I could go to here and adjust it, but let's do it a few times so you can see it change. I'm going to go to my next breakpoint, and I'm going to override the 4XL. So I click the dot, and you'll also notice a dot appears up here when I hover over the control to let me know. Because if I was on here, if I hover over this, the dot appears at the top to let me know it's actually set here. But anyway, let's say I want to go 5XL on there, and then let's go up to the next breakpoint. I want to override this and I want to go to 6XL. And then on the next breakpoint, let's override this and say I want to go to 9. So now, as I go up and down the breakpoints, you can see it just jumps. And we're not limited to just text sizes. We can change, we can change anything. If I wanted it to be, let's go italic at this size, then it can be italic. So now when I say jump up, it can be that. And if I want to do colors, it should work, but that is not working there. That might be a bug in the beta. It does appear. Let's have a look. Yes, I think that's a slight bug there. Let's see what's going on there. This is beta software. Let's override it now. No, it's not having it. Well, there we are. Well, that is a little bug to finish the video on, and that is why this is still beta. So there are those little edge cases, not going to be hard to fix, but just something we need to catch. And I'm sure you guys will find a lot of these, because there are a lot of rough edges, and these things just need, fixing up, and a lot of these things can get fixed as we go along. But you can see generally it's a very solid system. But yeah, you're going to hit some bugs. So that was how to do the responsive breakpoints. I haven't even touched on globals. But globals, if you want to create globals, you right click and convert to global, and then that you can use it on multiple pages. Let's just quickly do that. Convert to global. Then my jazzy section appears in here. And if I created a new page, go to my globals, then I could drop it on. Boom. And the globals have these little link icons. And the link icons are for if you want to override the setting. So here, like if I update this, it's going to update it everywhere. So it updates my master global. So if I go back to my welcome page and scroll down, that's my Mac mouse being funny. If I scroll down, it's updated it. But what I really want, I want it to be custom on every page. So here I want to override the text, the content for this. So because I've overridden that, I come back here and you can see that still says thanks, but this says thanks again. And if I drop it into here again, you can see it uses the original, of course. And I can, as well as overriding the content, I can also override settings. So if I wanted to, break, well, let's have a look. If I wanted to break the link on the opacity on this one, so this becomes custom. It's now white, and you'll see if I drop this in, it stays the same because I haven't broken the link. And this will still update. Let's just change the color. See, this still changes the color on everything, because these are all global settings. And until I break the link on something, it will always work. So let me see. On here, I broke the link to the opacity. But if I change the opacity on this one, it will affect all globals apart from this one because we've overridden it. So you'll see, if I go back to the home page and we scroll down, the changes are the same there. And like if I, turned off that blur, or we turn off the blur completely and let's up the opacity, you can see if I go back to here, it's the same. But this one retains the opacity that I set, and you just need to break these things if you want to change how it looks. And you can see there, it obviously hasn't updated that one. And we'll try the image thing. This should work. Like I can break this. so that this custom one has a gradient on it. So you can see this is really powerful because it's you can break it as much away from the original global as you wanted to, or just switch it back. You know, it's really it's a really nice way to work, because this could be a banner on all our pages if we wanted it to. So, you know, I'd do a new one here and drop that in, and I could just override this image on here, and we'll make that to emerald. Yeah. All right. I am going to finish up there because I really should have finished up, but it is a beta. There are bugs. Hopefully this has given you more of an understanding of the video. If more of an understanding of elements, if you've watched all of this, thank you if you've watched all this, because it's long. But yeah, I hope you enjoy the beta for those that are on this one, and honestly, it won't be long before we just start opening this up, especially if you've messaged me, you're top of the list. We'll get you guys on, and then the plan is to just post it on the forum and then allow more people in when we're sure that a lot of the obvious gotcha kind of bugs have been caught. All right, yeah, that's it then. I have got more stuff I needed to say, but I'm going to end the video because it's been really long, and I can always do another one later in the week or early next week. All right, thanks a lot for watching this, and I will see you in the next video. All right, cheers, bye.